What's up, guys? Coach Luke and Coach Eric here, and we are back on the Happy, Healthy Human podcast on the Coaches React segment, where we react to the most viral videos on social media about health and fitness, where we give answers to educational content on nutrition, on training, on anything that has to do with health and fitness, so that you can be happier and healthier. Eric's going to start us off, and we're going to do some reacting.
All right. What the? YouTube ain't... Oh, another Matty Frazier.
And substance.
Hold up. Okay, hold up. All right, ready?
If sleep weren't a normal thing, it would be a banned substance. I was looking up the best sleep conditions possible. You shouldn't look at blue light for 90 minutes before bed. 8:30, the phone gets turned off, the TV gets turned off. I don't have to go to bed, but I can't be on my phone or TV. Waking up naturally to light is way better and feels way better than waking up to an alarm. So I got this giant light bulb next to your bed that wakes you up with light instead of sound. You literally just wake up like, oh, the day has started. You're not fucking rubbing your eyes and contemplating why you're getting up. My room is held at 68 degrees because that's the ideal sleep temperature. If sleep weren't a normal thing, it would be a banned substance.
I mean, for who Matt Frazier is and what he was trying to accomplish at the time, 100% necessary for his ability to optimize sleep and recovery and feeling good enough the next day to train and give it his best effort. But for 99% of the general public, I would not recommend buying a blue or red light to wake up to as a way to improve your recovery. I would not recommend doing, half the things that he just said, but it's mainly just because it's like there are so many other things that you can do to help improve your sleep, rest, and recovery outside of buying a red or blue light before you consider doing that. And so I just think it's funny because it's like, it's funny because I actually coach someone who has a red light, and I was talking to him about like what do you need this week in order for you to get back into the routine of going on your morning walks? And he was like, I gotta start doing the red light stuff again in the mornings. And I literally was like, you probably know who it is just by me talking to you about this, but it's like, it's just hilarious because it's like, it's not like your ability to do a red light or stand in front of a red light and do red light therapy has nothing to do with your ability to feel well rested and recovered in the long scheme of things. Because one day, if you don't have that red light therapy, what are you gonna do? If you're traveling, if you're out of town, if you're whatever it is, right? Or if you're out of battery or your electricity's out, what are you gonna do to feel well rested and recovered? And so I think that becoming dependent on those things can be the crux of your ability to sustain certain habits that you want to build. But is it nice to have? Sure.
I must have missed that whole section because I did not hear anything about red light therapy. Oh, wow. We must have watched two different videos just now, but I was jokingly going to say...
What did you get out of it?
I just heard I did hear something about waking up to a light. Maybe that's what you're thinking. And then no blue light past 8:30 p.m. or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then the optimal sleeping conditions of 68 degrees. I would say the cooling, I like that, but my family, I got young kids, and I think I've talked about something in the episode where I can't, if you're a parent, you got babies in the room, you got babies in your house, you can't keep your house super cold because they're gonna freeze, right? So for me, and this is not an ad, but I have a chili pod, or it's kind of like an 8 sleep, and that's been I feel really rich, doing this, but it's like a $2,000 sleeping pad, but I would actually say it's been night and day in my sleep. Since I've gotten it. Absolute game changer. My sleep quality is so much better when I'm sleeping with the right temperature. And actually makes it harder for me to not sleep at home now.
Why do you think that is for you?
I overheat like crazy.
Oh, okay.
So for me,
you run hot.
I run hot.
Yeah.
So
I run cold. I'm the opposite.
So I overheat. So it makes a lot of sense for me. And I always think what did people do when this technology wasn't around? But it helped. I've been feeling really. You see me at the gym. I've been on it for the last month and a half. Just everything's going really well for me physically. My back's feeling great. So I know that's one contributing factor to it. But I think something to keep in mind with the tips that he gives. I think something simpler to start with is just the same sleep and wake up times for most people is just making sure you're in a routine of sleeping. While I know that's not possible for a lot of people that are like new parents or young parents, trying to have as much of, what's up, Grant? Have it as much of a routine as possible while you're developing habits is key, because we are like creatures of habits.
Yep.
Right. We have clocks that we run by. So yeah, just being consistent in that, I think, is the most important thing that we can do. And it's the easiest way to start getting quality sleep. And all the other stuff is just extra.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah.
Love it.
So like I honestly, I don't think I can even wake up to one of those like light thingies. The having some kind of light wake me up versus a sound.
Yeah.
There's no shot. I'm going to sleep through, like, I'm a parent, bro. I can sleep in daylight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that, I mean, I would try. I think Drew has one of those though. So.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All
sir.
you're trying to do is live one good day.
Ooh,
How can you
James
wake up
Clear.
today, do your best, try to find some small way to improve, some 1% improvement that you can make, live a good day, go to sleep, and try to do it again tomorrow. And as the days stack up, you'll find that those small changes, those reasonable approaches that you take on any given day, stack into something much greater.
That's James Clear, right?
Yeah, the
okay.
title of this is Sustainable Habits Are Not Built in One Day.
Agree. I mean, I talk about this all the time. We even, we are, we're part of the same gym. So, the programming that we used to do, like, I don't know if you remember when I used to do a 14 minute, 24-second, 15-minute skill work on Thursdays for our gym general programming, because that's 1% of your day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I used
do
I used to call 1% Thursdays back in the day. I don't know if you remember that, but maybe I didn't brand it well enough back then, but it was literally 14 minutes, 24 seconds. I put a time on the clock. We're going to work on this skill. And we just do that week to week, and it improves your skill week to week, 1%.
Yep.
Right. So I agree. James is probably the master of teaching habit stacking. And I've seen that anecdotally evidence in my own life, whether it's physically, whether it's spiritually, mentally, financially.
Why do you think
it's 1% at a time?
Why do you think people don't want to do that? Why do you think people
It's
just
boring.
like maximize the day? Like they just try to like do as much as possible.
It's freaking boring. I mean, I'm totally that way. So for me, the 1% is really, really hard. But there are things that I do really, really well maximizing, and like I do that. I don't go 1% on that. I don't build. I don't build things 1% at a time. Usually, in terms of like products and whatnot, I just go. I go hard. But I have the capacity, the ADHD, and the drive to do that. Mm-hmm. But there are other places where it's like, it is like, for example, I was that way with nutrition, and I could probably still be that way with nutrition and this isn't to throw my family under the bus, if I was single. But now that I have a family, I'm married. You're not just one person. You're two people or one person now, right?
You're managing the expectations of 5 people.
Yeah, right. So for me, how can I take my family with me on this journey? It's going to be 1% at a time.
Yeah. Totally.
If I take them 50% at a time, I'm going to lose everybody, which I've done. I've like full on flipped before. I'm like, we're not doing, like, I'm really extreme, right? So I'm like, I'm so sick of us. We always have junk in the house. And it's like, always to me is like, it's not even that much junk probably for the average person, but because of how I want to live, I'm like, we're cleaning, we're doing a pantry clean out. And then my wife is like, whoa, like, hey, like, dude, you need to reel it back. I'm like, no, my kids ask for candy way too often. It's because we have that in the house, right? And she's like, dude, like, pull it back, right? So it's finding different mediums, and like, so now with candy, it's like, hey, we like, our kids know to expect that they're gonna get candy on the weekend, right? Right. But they go to a school where they're giving candy every day. I'm like, no, and it's hard for them to understand, like, hey, we don't eat candy on the weekdays.
Sure.
Right. But that'll change as they grow up. But right now I'm trying to teach them habits, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, I would like to just eat a rice, meat, and a vegetable every single meal at dinner.
Day.
At dinner, every meal. I just change the sauce out.
For sure.
My wife can't do that after 2 meals.
Yeah.
My kids can't do that after 2 meals. So I'm like, okay, how can we compromise, but work towards getting maybe a little bit more protein in every single meal?
Totally.
1%.
Totally.
So
Totally.
agreed.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Let's see what we got. Oh, hold up. Okay, this is gonna be a hot take here. It's by Marcus Philly.
Yeah.
My boy Marcus Philly. He's shredded.
Let's go.
And very handsome, him man bun there. And yeah, so he talks about which one is better for building a better physique specifically.
Cool.
Okay.
CrossFit or bodybuilding to build the best physique? The first question is, what do you want your physique to look like? There are CrossFitters out there who look amazing. There are bodybuilders out there that look amazing. If you put those two bodies side by side, there are some key differences. CrossFitters tend to have bigger midsections, a more thick trunk because they do a lot of axial loading, and the training and the performance of that sport require a thicker midsection. Bodybuilders have a much more tapered midsection because that is what the sport asks for and judges favorably for. You might want to think about how you want it to look. But with that said, bodybuilding principles are still the best way to build muscle. CrossFitters have muscle, but bodybuilding principles are the most effective way to build the muscle that you want. So get clear on what you want your body to actually look like, incorporate bodybuilding principles, and if you love doing CrossFit, then you can also incorporate that too. It's called functional bodybuilding.
Ooh.
Well, nice little plug at
Nice
the end.
little plug in
FPV
there.
plug at the
Yeah,
end,
I
right?
like that, Marcus. I like
so
that.
it's obvious why he has that take, right?
Yeah.
What's up, Lorena?
Yeah. So a couple things to just note. The reason why I believe he says bodybuilding is the best way to, what did he say? Best way to build muscle?
Yes.
Is that what he says?
Yes.
So the reason why I believe that
he says that at the very end, but in the very beginning, he says, which one is better for building a better physique?
A better physique. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, a better physique is all relative to what you prefer, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, if you want a small tapered waist, go for it. It may not be as functional. You might get a lot more back pain. You might not be as strong in your transverse abdominis, which is kind of like your core muscles. And so, yeah, you just might not be able to lift as heavy, but you might look a lot, quote unquote, leaner because other muscles outside of your trunk are a lot bigger, and it looks like you have like a very V-shaped body. Now with CrossFitters, yeah, the trunk is way thicker. But I was gonna say that I think the reason why he says the best principles to follow are bodybuilding principles in order for you to build muscle is because of the focus that you have when you're actually doing a bodybuilding kind of like style workout. In a bodybuilding style workout, the intention and the focus is the sensation of the contraction of the muscle. So you are literally trying to feel a very specific muscle for a specific amount of time, and you're trying to get to a specific amount of fatigue. Whereas in CrossFit, the focus can shift towards sensation to performance. And
I think also in bodybuilding, there's a depending on who programs for you in CrossFit, but
Yeah.
in most CrossFit doesn't exist. But in bodybuilding, there's a much stronger emphasis on rest,
yes, absolutely.
right? Whereas
Absolutely.
in CrossFit, you have to learn how to like mitigate, how to like manage your own rest mid WOD, or whatever, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the recovery component actually, so having an adequate amount of recovery preserves a certain amount of sensation and ability to actually like challenge yourself. Whereas like maybe in CrossFit you might not get that like as potent of a response of like contracting the muscle that you want to contract, but it's just because like you're a little bit tired and under fatigue while you're doing all these different movements. Now, CrossFit does not mean that you won't get a great physique. In fact, as someone who has done CrossFit for the last 12 years of his life, I believe that I like my physique more when I am doing CrossFit style movements over bodybuilding style movements. But the bodybuilding mindset of trying to focus on the sensation of the muscles and making sure that you're actually getting what you want out of the effort that you're putting into your exercise, I think that is something that bodybuilding has a lot to offer the health and fitness community.
Yeah.
So take from that as you want, but I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree with most parts of it. I think the biggest thing that I've learned in training in the years that I have is that there's always so the first thing that he said is you need to choose the body type that you want, and then you like go after that, right? for me, I have a philosophy of I don't think there's anything wrong with chasing aesthetics, but I think it's kind of a slippery slope where you ultimately don't have control of how you look 100% unless you like get surgery.
100%.
So I think there's a danger. So like most bodybuilders that I've known in the past, like I've known 3 bodybuilders that have had heart attacks. 25 years old in the heart, like, right? So like I'm not knocking
because of health reasons because of steroidal reasons.
Both supplements and just lifestyle.
Drugs.
Yeah, it's just like peds and lifestyle factors, right?
Yeah.
And the way they do it's so extreme, right? Because like I think I would rather teach my children and the next generation that it's more important how your body feels and what it can do than how it looks. How it looks is usually a reflection of what it can do.
Yeah, or the habits that you have.
Yeah,
right?
and I think that's the most important thing I'd want to pass on to the next generation. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a certain type of physique, but at the end of the day, it's this, bro. Your arm's only going to get so big.
For sure.
Right? Towards your genetic potential.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like you seen these babies? You seen these calves? I get so many compliments on these calves. I don't train calves.
Yeah, for sure.
I just walk on my toes.
For sure.
And I don't get full hip extension.
For sure.
That's how you get a Taiwanese calf like this meaty turkey leg from Disneyland, right?
Eggs.
Like, so it's like I've had people walk up to me and they go, "Oh, bro, like put me on a program. I can put you on a program, but your calves will look really, really good and muscular for your body."
Yeah, for sure.
They're never, unless you inject them.
Right.
They're never gonna look like my calves.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
honestly, my calves are too big. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I think yes, like what he was saying at the very end is like choosing the physique and then training accordingly. I would say even take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's yes, agree. Yes, you can pursue generally that you'll have generally a thicker midsection or more tapered, but overall that you have less control over the exact, like you will never look like someone else.
Yeah.
You will look like the best version of you possible.
Yep.
I get a lot of clients come and go, like when I used to train this professional magician, right? And he came and he goes, you remember Johnny? What up, Johnny Woo? But he came in and he says, "I want you to make me look like Chris Evans in Captain America."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, my guy, that man is way taller than you.
And he's white.
And he's white. And his jawline doesn't look like yours.
Yeah.
And his nose is straight.
Yep.
And so he's like, well, forget, what about just his body? I was like, what about his body? He goes, he has abs. I go, okay, I can get you abs, but your abs won't look like his abs.
For sure.
You're like, look at my abs and your abs. I'm way like more square. Like I'm a square person.
But it's like you've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah,
You've been doing this for zero.
I gotta. Right.
It will never look like
it. Just
Chris
it's
Evans
like
abs, yeah.
So it's like it's like everybody's even abs on people that have really nice abs look very different. It's very, very subjective.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you want to look like somebody else, I'm just gonna tell you that you never will.
Yeah.
But you can look like the best version of yourself.
Love it.
Thank you, Philly, for that clip. Yeah.
That's it for today's Happy Healthy Human podcast, guys. Coach's React Edition. We'll see you guys soon. Stay happy. Stay healthy.